Hey everyone, how's it going? It's me, Michelle Osorio. How's it going? Welcome to my new project, Dare to Dream School. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a YouTuber. I'm happy to say I've had millions and millions of views. And I also have a filmmaking background, a theater background. I'm a musician, and I wanted to talk today about camera confidence. A lot of people have a hard time believing my story about how I used to be a very shy kid. And I've been able to go from that to today. I actually direct my own videos, sometimes some pretty elaborate videos. Some go viral, some don't. A lot don't. But I've had great success with being on camera. So people have a hard time believing that that included a journey. And I wanted to share some tips I learned from that journey. A lot of those tips I actually learned from working in Hollywood, as well as directing my own films, my own web series, as well as Hollywood workshops I took as a director and as an actor that I think a lot of people could apply to just regular online video, to simple things like if you wanted to do Facebook Lives or you wanted to get on YouTube. Those same Hollywood techniques, they work the same. So if you've ever watched yourself on video and you cringe at the sound of your own voice, some of us have been there. Has anybody been there? Because I have been there. I hated the sound of my own voice. It didn't sound the way I was used to. And sometimes I didn't like how I looked on camera. And I would be embarrassed. Kind of like, have you ever not liked a picture of yourself that somebody tagged you on, maybe on Facebook? It's kind of like that, but on video. So some people, they're afraid to start on video because of that. They're afraid of what people will say. They're afraid of how they look. And then some people, they might have the camera confidence in terms of how they look, but they have other fears regarding video because they might be afraid just of what people think in terms of if these people are professional enough to be on camera, old enough, young enough to be on camera. Or maybe you've ever felt like maybe you don't have the authority to be on camera for something you do, something you love, or a business you run, but you feel like that's for other people to be on video. So there's this common kind of imposter syndrome. And so people have trouble getting the courage to be on camera, or when they're on camera, they have trouble, they struggle with being confident and thus being, authentic. So I know a lot of people struggle with that. So I thought I would share some tips. And also, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'm going to be doing a live every day this week to promote this upcoming course that I'm doing. It's a beta course, so this is like a one-time chance to work with me live every week in a very small group setting for a very discounted price just this one time, because I'm developing this new product, this new live course that will help you with not only your camera confidence, but how to tell a story like a filmmaker does, but you can use it in your own small online videos so that you can grow your business and you can grow your brand. So some techniques that I learned over time. So first of all, if you feel uncomfortable being on camera, I want you to know, first off, that I've been there. That used to be me. That was me when I was a kid. I was afraid to be on camera. I was afraid to be on stage. Even though I loved performing, I loved to sing. I had a talent for singing. I had a gift, but I was afraid to share that gift because I had such terrible stage fright. And so some people, they either don't start on camera, or when they're on camera, they look nervous, or they don't seem like themselves. They seem a little bit uptight and stiff. So some tricks that you can do is, first of all, when you do that, it's because you're internalizing everything. You're turning everything inward on yourself. Your mindset is on, how am I performing? And, oh my gosh, everybody's looking at me. Or if it's on camera, it's everybody's going to look at me. And you're fixating on the camera, on the situation, and you're getting too in your own mind. Whereas when you speak to your friend, you look very natural, right? If somebody secretly filmed you, you would look completely authentic because you're having a real conversation. So the key to looking authentic and feeling confident on camera is to put yourself back in that original situation. So you need to use your imagination a little bit. This is why actors appear so talented. This is why actors look so good, because they're not performing. They're being authentic. One technique is you can try to access your memories of a conversation you had with a real person you knew. And then if you can channel that, your performance, quote unquote, is going to look really natural. So as an actor, a tool that I could use potentially is, let's say there was a scene where I had to be, really sad, or, I could or unhappy. I could channel that. I could close my eyes before the scene and think, okay, what happened right before the scene? And then think, was there a time in my life where I felt that way, where I was unhappy or sad? And I can channel that memory, and then I can kind of relive it. Now, you have to be willing to be vulnerable if you do that. But if you can remember that in your performance, it's going to look authentic because you're remembering a real time when you were sad. So that is a trick sometimes that actors use. They channel a real memory so that their performance looks authentic because they're actually remembering a time when they were in that kind of situation. So they're not acting, they're reliving it. That's why you might meet actors who seem very humble when they're told they're talented, because really all they were doing was being vulnerable and allowing themselves to tap into an old memory. So something you could do, let's say you had a business and you wanted to talk about your product or solve your customer's problem on a video. You could do the same technique. Before you record, or even when you record, because you're going to edit it later, you could close your eyes and remember a time when you needed to solve a problem for your customer. What was the conversation you had? What were the things that your customer was asking you? And then once you remember that person's face, now you can open your eyes, start recording, and have that conversation and act like you're having that conversation with that person. Act like the camera lens is that person. Is that making sense? Let me know in the comments if this is making sense to you. So instead of trying to perform and trying to act the way you think everything is supposed to act, everybody's supposed to act, turn it around. Focus on the other person instead of internalizing. Focus on solving their problems. And if you can do that, focus on the other person. That will take away some of your nervousness. That will focus your attention on the other person. And it's even better, it compounds. The benefits compound because you're also going to appear authentic because you're helping another person, even if it's just a person from your memory. And if you've never helped people like that before, you might want to invent a persona, find a photograph of a friend you know, if you don't, and put that near the camera. Another trick I tell people is, can you have a friend stand behind the camera? Because that allows it to appear authentic as well, because you are having a conversation with the person behind the camera. But try to look into the lens. That's a common mistake I see people do. So look into the lens and make sure that you're just imagining that that's a person. And if you do have a person behind the camera, like I said, don't look at the screen to the side of the camera. Don't look at the camera person, look at the lens, but imagine that that's a person. And finally, I also just want you to remember that this takes time. It takes practice. So just make sure that, you're not too hard on yourself. That's the other thing. So, hi, Usman. Thank you for joining. So there's been a few people in here who have been quiet. I know there are people in here, so please ask any questions if you have, because I'm about to go. But those are my tricks. Those are my little tidbits of camera confidence tricks for you. So I hope that helped you. And yeah, just remember those things. Close your eyes, access a memory of a time you've helped someone with that question, whatever it is that your video is about. If it's an informational video, then think about a time somebody asked you that question. If you've never had somebody ask you that question, but you're trying to help people in a new business, then imagine that person. And if you have a hard time imagining them, use a photograph of somebody you actually know. And then 3 of that list, if you're still having a hard time, have a real person stand behind the camera and maybe be your moral support. But you gotta always make sure you look into the camera lens. Don't look at your friend who's standing above the camera. Don't look at the screen to the side, because remember, you're kind of in a time capsule. You're a time travel. You're speaking to somebody in the future who's going to watch your video if it's recorded. If it's live, you might be doing it now, but people will watch the replay too, right? So you have to always remember, focus on the lens, because that will be a person watching later. So talk to that person, and the more clear it can be in your head who that person is, just pick one imaginary person or one person you've worked with in the past. That's how you're going to get authentic. And then my 4th tip, just to recap, is to turn it around. Don't focus so much on yourself. That's how you get nervous. That's how you start to appear inauthentic. Or is it unauthentic? Is it inauthentic or unauthentic? I think it's inauthentic, right? That's how you appear disingenuous. There you go. That's how you appear disingenuous. You have to allow yourself to just be yourself. Allow yourself to be vulnerable. I know that's scary, but if you can allow yourself to be vulnerable, if you can love yourself enough to tell yourself, people will love me just the way I am. I don't have to be professional. I don't have to be this idea of who I think people need to be. I just need to be myself and focus on that person, and give them my gift, whether that's singing or it's education. Focus on that person, that invisible person who's behind the camera, who will be there behind that camera lens. They need you. And so remember that. If you can take it from a point of serving others, that's how you can have a beautiful, authentic performance on camera that won't even feel like a performance. Just like how I said, many actors will be very humble if you compliment them on their talent, because it's not a performance to them. They are just very good at being vulnerable enough to channel their internal memories and their emotions so that they can be emotionally raw with people. That's all they're doing. They're not actually performing. A good actor. Hi, Fatima. Thanks for joining the live. All right, that's it. So last chance for any Q&A. Once again, I am doing a live beta course. You will have the ability to meet with me live twice a week, this one time only. After this, the videos will be pre-recorded when I teach the more expensive final class a few months from now. So this summer is the only chance you're going to have at 1/3 of the final price. If you want to help me make a great product and join in my beta course and be part of this tiny little small group. So I'm teaching people how to create a video strategy before they ever film something. Lots of tips that I learned as a director and an actor that you can use, just like the tips I just told you for your performance. How to craft a good story, both as a filmmaker and videographer, and as the person on camera who is, the guide, the person delivering the message. And then the technical part of how to post a video and how to promote it. But then also a really cool trick about how you can repurpose your content so you can use the same videos over and over again on all your other social media, so that you're not making a million videos for all the platforms out there, because you do need to focus if you want to grow. So that's my talent. Is growing audiences and telling stories. And that's how I've been able to grow 134,000 live stream followers. That's how I've got 24 million YouTube views. So if you want access to me every week in this live 6-week course, just check out daretodreamschool.com/video course. So if you click there, only in the next week, you'll be able to get this course, and it'll be live with me, and I will hold your hand and walk you through that process so that you can walk away with the video strategy, the technical know-how of how to upload the videos, and you're going to get that group coaching with me for a fraction of what it costs to work with me one-on-one. at daretodreamschool.com/video course. But if you don't get it after this week and you're watching this in the future, I'm sorry that that price is gone, but you can sign up for the waiting list and you might be able to get like an early bird price notification. It will never be as cheap as this, but the early bird will still probably be cheaper than it will be otherwise. So I will make sure people on the newsletter get a chance to get it cheaper. But this week only is the only time you'll ever be able to work with me for this price. Otherwise, it's probably going to be 3 to 4 times as much. So if you want to be in that beta group, check out that URL.